Look at that, fired right off first try even. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna run this sound check real quick, Jane. Run this sound check real fucking fast. Let a couple people get joined in there. Oh, there we go.
Who's here?
Finally. 6 minutes late. We apologize.
That's good for us, though.
10 minutes. 10 minutes,
yeah,
actually.
Even if it's a half hour, that's
I'm a
really good for
failure.
us.
I'm a failure. Oh, well, that's... Okay, so we're going to run these intros. Do a little sound check here, and then we're going to get right into this. Fucking... No. Sit down. Okay, let's run the sound check. Why is this happening? Why will this not let me sign in to my computer? There we go. Hang on. Hang on. We're technology friendly here today. Okay, Jane, give me a couple words here. Give me a sound check. Jane?
Check, check, check.
You sound so good every fucking time. It's not fair, you know? I spend so much time on this microphone. Jamie just comes in, sounds like a goddamn angel singing through the motherfucker every time. Okay. Let's do this. Let's fire this motherfucker up. Okay. Let's run these intros. Jesus. Everybody showed up already.
Well, good.
You want to advertise for someone? Advertise my shit. NA-ChinaShop.com. What the fuck is the week? Stop taking fucking pictures. We're gonna be hosted by yours truly, Ty Lumley.
Yo, you beautiful motherfuckers. How you doing? Episode 103. See, that's the only thing about having that elevated. The more we touch the table, the more that thing's going to shake like a bitch.
We'll be okay. We'll be all right.
Anyway, episode 103 of the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast. My name's Ty Lumley. Will you shut that back door so we don't hear that, have that puppy barking the whole time? Episode 103. Okay, upcoming events. We have Euro Nationals this weekend, this Saturday, July 21st, Royal Highland Centre, Edinburgh, Scotland. It's a multi-breed ABKC event, junior handler friendly. Contact Team ABKC UK for that one. I will not be there. July. After that, we have Australia, September 25th. That's in Sydney. We have Thailand, Art of Bully ABKC show. That's September 1st. September 29th, we have the ABKC Ireland show, the benefit for the Laura Lynn Foundation. All proceeds from that show will be going to the Laura Lynn Foundation. Every cent of the profit. That's in Dublin, Ireland. Cash prizes for all the best in show winners. Multi-breed ABKC event. Also contact Carl Carey for that one. That's it. So far, that's all I've got.
It is summer.
It is summer. Honestly, that with the heat that we've had, I'm surprised that a lot of these shows are still going on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
New Vet Plus vitamins. All breeds, all ages, no artificial fillers or ingredients. One bottle of 90 vitamin wafers is a 3-month supply. from between 5 and 100 pounds, 1 vitamin wafer a day. For nursing moms, 2 vitamin wafers. For your puppies, it's going to help you build the immune system. It's going to help their bone structure develop. It's also going to help your moms produce milk and nutritious milk. The nutritional value be higher. For your breeding studs, it's going to increase the count and motility of their semen. For puppy health, litter size, and sperm production, your best bet's NuVet Plus multivitamins. Visit nuvet.com, that's NUVE.com, and use order code 87981.
You might want to text me about that.
Wow, apparently that puppy's pissed back there. Pissed at us for talking. Don't be mad, young man. This is what we do.
Okay.
All right, so we should probably jump right into the whole reason why all these people are already watching. I feel like.
Okay.
For people, actually, I would love for that puppy
Here
to
we go.
stop barking before we get into that, so I don't have to talk over that annoying thing. Do you have a electric poker back there anywhere that you can maybe?
My God. Yeah, let me get that right quick.
Okay, so for the people that follow the social media, you guys kind of know what's going on. I made a post. It was a Monday after the podcast Monday. I made a post, and the last thing on the post says was, "Here's the free agency." Obviously, that kind of stirred the pot a little bit. I got a lot of messages, got a lot of people calling me. People want to know what the fuck's going on. I have resigned from the ABKC as a judge. Now, the first thing I want to say is this is not going to turn into a bash session. There's no personal issues. There's no animosity from my side. There's not going to be a fucking smear campaign coming from me to them. It's nothing like that. I'm not a bitter ex-girlfriend like some of these fucks. They can't keep their mouth shut when they leave. Honestly, I appreciate everything and every opportunity that has come through the ABKC. As much as I appreciate that, I feel like the appreciation was not reciprocated. I know the value I bring to the table. I know what I'm worth, and I know what it feels like to have that appreciation thrown back at me. And there's honestly, the past 8 months, probably a year, some things have happened, some dominoes have fell, and I feel like coincidences really aren't something I believe in. Shit, there is no coincidence. Right. You know what I mean? Especially when you talk to 2 or 3 show hosts that tell you were on the show or you were hired on the show, and then that someone made a phone call and now you're not doing the show. That's discouraging from the jump, but you don't really believe that shit's going down until it becomes a pattern. And when you see that pattern, I feel like you have to say something. And then when you say something, you kind of have to gauge the reaction you get and go from there and take steps to go from there. And honestly, it's not even that big of a deal because I do my own thing. Everybody can see I do my own thing pretty much at all times. But I also feel like there's certain members of, let's just call them the bosses. There's certain bosses that would like to control the narrative that comes out of ABKC employees, because you're not really an employee of the ABKC if you're judging for them. You're subcontracted. You're hired by the host. You're not technically an employee of the ABKC. But there's certain bosses that would like to control the narrative that comes out of every employee's mouth. That's called propaganda. Putting out false information and cutting off real information so you can control the fucking words that go out to the public, that's fucking propaganda. I'm not going to be a part of that. And you're not going to stop me from saying whatever I want to say. You know, I've been super critical about certain things with the ABKC, but I'm also the first motherfucker to stand up for them. The first motherfucker to put my neck out and my reputation out and my name out on the line for the ABKC. So it's super frustrating to feel like there's no appreciation coming back when you put in 8 years of nothing but ABKC. You know, I don't know what you want to call it, even like uplifting. Like for a long time, there was people leaving left and right, and no one really knew what was going on. There was a big limbo period, and a lot of promises were made that have not been lived up to, and a lot of backdoor deals have been made that the public's not privy to. And I'm not a fucking snitch. That's not what we're going to get into. All I'm saying is, I know my value, and I know what I'm worth, and I know when I'm not being appreciated. And I know that there's people out there that will appreciate what I'm worth and pay me what I'm worth. Or not even pay me, but support what I'm doing, whether you agree with everything I say or not. You know, I don't know. It's been a long time. I've been doing the podcast for a long time. And I've had certain members of the ABKC on the show that didn't even support the episodes that they were on. Like that, to me, that's fucking insane. Obviously, I don't need people to come on the show to have numbers or success or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But you'd think if I do invite you on the show, you would be one of the people that help push that episode, just one episode at least. But
Just one.
It just doesn't happen. And it seems like this is a pattern that happens with I hate to say this, but the people that are putting in the most work seem to start growing a name for themselves outside of the registry. And it seems like those people who are putting in the work, who are growing their own name, get pushed out. Now that's a pattern. It's not just me. It's not just Ron Ramos. It's not just, right down etc. right down the line. It's not just one or two fucking people. It's a pattern. And it's sad to me. It's not something I take lightly. It's not a decision that I take lightly. I love judging. I'm going to continue to judge. Obviously, my judging fee just went up about 50%, but I love judging. I will continue to judge. If the ABKC would like to hire me to judge one show, that's going to be a solo contract, which they never will, because that's not how it works. They want you in their little bubble, in their box, under lock and key, you know what I mean? But I ended the post on the social media post with "Here's the free agency," not because I'm going to jump around and judge for everybody, and it's not what I'm going to do. I'm still going to do what I do, judge international shows, travel a lot. We are still going to do the Asian tour, as I talked about a little bit on Monday. We're doing Sydney, the Sydney show, the 25th of August. We're doing the Thailand show after that. And these are both ABKC shows. I'm not writing off the ABKC. I'm not going to stop attending events unless they kick me out, which I don't see that. I don't think that's going to go that far. You know what I mean? But it's no bad blood. It's not a personal issue at all. It's just I know what I'm worth, and I'm going to stand behind that. That's it. That's just it. It's not like a petty thing. I'm not going to get into the super bashing. Like I said, I'm not a bitter ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to turn into Code 3. That's not going to happen.
Maybe I will later.
Jamie might.
When the time's right. I don't know.
But and like I said, it's I don't know. It is what it is. It's time for the next step. I need to put more effort into Bull-NA-ChinaShop TV. I need to put more effort into the Bull-NA-ChinaShop podcast. I need to put more effort into the YouTube channel. Right now, the only videos that are going up on the YouTube channel are podcasts because I just have no motivation to make more videos.
You really do need to do a video here.
But it's funny when shit like this happens. For some reason, I'm super motivated right now. So, it's not because I feel like, you know, it's a
we get into habits
grudge type of things. But yeah, exactly. You fall into bad habits, and I'm at the core of me, I'm pretty fucking lazy. That's why I do what I do in the first place. But also, like it's hard to explain to somebody what kind of day you have when you spend, you know, you go in to answer a few messages and the next thing you know, 3.5 hours have went by and all you've been doing is answering messages on your phone, and you fucking look around at the clock and you're like, what has just happened with my whole day? I gotta find a more efficient way to do that, first of all, and I gotta put more effort into the YouTube channel and the podcast. So
cool. I got some good ideas.
I mean, that's the plan. I know I got a lot of messages. I got a lot of messages from people who don't like the ABKC, who were like thinking that I was going to jump on some sort of misery bandwagon. That's not how I roll at all. You know, like I disagree with a lot of things that are going on, but I'm not going to join your miserable pool of people and start a bash campaign. It's just not what I do. Even if I did have a personal issue, that's not what I would do. You know, if there was a personal issue, we would have a face-to-face conversation. There's no need for that. We're just moving on. I don't even know if the bosses have made any statements or comments or anything like that, but I don't really care. It's not about them. It's not about anything, but I feel like the value that I bring to the table is not just your regular run-of-the-mill fucking value. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, some of the new names and new faces that are being brought in on the judging crew, it's embarrassing for me to be put on the same level as those people. And that's not all the judges. I'm not bashing all the judges. There's a select few fucking people. It's embarrassing that we're on the same. We're referred to as the same. For me, I can't do that, and I can't go into every assignment knowing that, you know, everything's a level field when I know for a fact these people don't have what it takes to be a fucking judge. Anybody can be a judge, a competent judge, I should say. You know, not people I would pay for their opinion. And people say, I've read comments already that people are like, well, as a judge, you shouldn't be bashing other judges. I haven't said anybody's name. I haven't told you not to go show under anybody. All I'm saying is open your fucking eyes. Go to the shows and see what people are doing. You know, look at their track record as a handler if they're coming in from a handler. Look at their track record as a breeder coming in as a breeder.
Well, just look at a track record, period.
Just look at their fucking resume.
I'm going to steal this from a friend of mine that I was talking to this afternoon. We can't teach as we go. If you're supposed to be a judge, you should know these things when you go in.
I think we're past the point where we pick random fucking people out of the crowd and say you're going to be a judge. Mm-hmm. We're past that point. That was good. I feel like even when I came in, it was past that point. You have to stop picking. But you know why? You know why they're putting these people in place? Because these people never thought they could even do that. They're over appreciative of the gesture, so they will do and say anything that the bosses want them to do and say. That's why. so they can have yes men and do boys around them. That's it. It's frustrating to me. And it's been frustrating for a couple years. This is not coming out of left field. This is something I've been talking about on the podcast since episode 1. You know, and I think that may be also half the problem why there's a little friction with the bosses, because I'm openly critical about what we have going on. I've been asking these people to be more transparent for 2 years. We have such a social media uprising with negativity against the registry. All we would have to do is become a little more transparent in a few different areas. You know, like the judges' education program, the seminars that are being put out for the public or the lack thereof. Like the new rules that are going into for the judges, the new standard changes. A little bit of transparency could have taken a lot of that negativity and turned it around into a positive for them. I've been trying to get people to understand that for 2 years. They just won't do it. So I'm open and I'm honest and I'm 100% real. And everybody wants you to be honest until you're honest with them, right? And then there's an issue. I don't know. People that have met me from the show, like everyone that meets me says you're the exact same person in person as you are on the show. That's something I take pride in. I don't give a fuck if you're the king of England and you're wearing a crown. This is how we're going to talk. This is who I'm going to be regardless. I might not swear as much for sure. I might not drop a motherfucker in there if you have a crown on, you know? But actually, I did talk to the Prince of Thailand while I was there the first time, and I didn't drop.
You didn't.
Did not drop one motherfucker, I promise you. But we still had a open, honest conversation, and like I learned. Hopefully, he learned something from me from American culture. I definitely learned something from him. But you don't have to. To me, you don't have to hide everything. You don't have to put smoke and mirrors behind everything. You don't have to do all these things. You know. I don't know. There's just a bunch of shit that I feel like could be changed, but I don't feel like taking me out of the picture. And technically, I'm taking myself out of the picture, so I can't say that. But I feel like my hand's being forced, halfway forced. But with me out of the picture, I don't feel like that's going to get easier or be any better. Not saying I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but I feel, who in the fuck else is doing as much as I am to promote the breed and judging and the ABKC and the American Bully and the Shorty Bull and bull breeds in general? Mm-hmm. I'll fucking wait. There's not another person, and I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I take pride in the fact that I'm working my ass off to get this out here. 103 episodes deep in the podcast.
Yeah, but you know what makes
175 videos on the YouTube channel.
What makes it different is the very thing that makes it a problem, because it is real. And
it's as honest as I possibly can be.
It should be. I mean, it should be.
Are you going to stop being my friend?
Well, I thought about that for a long time.
I had a bunch of people message me saying, don't worry, we're still cool. Well, fuck, I hope so. I hope that decision or my decisions don't make or break our friendship. That would be kind of depressing. That would be kind of telling, actually. You know, I don't feel like we have a very good friendship if that's the deciding factor. Anyway, probably a little anticlimactic for people. I'm sure a lot of people came on expecting me to go haywire bananas.
I know.
There's no bad
boring.
blood.
That was boring.
I have no animosity. I just feel like I'm underappreciated and undervalued, and I'm not getting back what I'm putting in. And at some point, you have to stop. You have to ask yourself, like, what are you doing this for? What are you spending all this energy for? What are you getting so upset about?
Well, are we even getting better? Are we improving? Are we?
That's exactly. And like I said, there's been promises made that have never came to fruition. I've been judging 4 years. June of 14, I think. Because we went 13, right, to the UK. So June or July of 2014.
Wow.
Is when I started judging. So I've been judging 4 years. And there's conversations that we had the first year that promises were made. And it's not even promises to me. For me, it's about our standards, who's writing the standards. You know, the first thing that we have to stop allowing is Susan Fedorsha to write standards. How can that be allowed? I don't understand how that is even a conversation in the office at all. I don't get it. You can't let incompetence like that write breed standards. And if you go and look at all the changes that have been made in the past 3 years to these standards, the DQs were taken out, for fuck's sake. If there's any fault in a standard that you want to see written in there, it's the disqualifications. We got a list of minor faults like this and no disqualifications. That's ass backwards. That's completely backwards. You can't allow that to happen if you're running a fucking registry. You can't. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. There's no public education. The judge's education started and that got cut off, and now that's completely disappeared. And there was never any education for the main breed that the registry pushes. Like, it's a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense. But I was trying to make these things happen, and it's sad. It makes me sad. It honestly makes me sad. But at the same time, I can't stand for shit that I don't believe in. That's it. You know, I don't need more friends. I don't need a pat on the ass. I don't need smoke blowing up my ass. What I need is honesty and progression.
Yeah, and results.
And a little bit of appreciation. And I don't feel like that any of those fucking things were happening. Anyway, onward and upward, you know? We're going to do the Asia tour. Come back in December. Hopefully put out a lot more content. Hopefully find some good Asian bull breed dogs over there. I'm going to try to hit Indonesia, Philippines again. I know there's a couple of shows in both of those countries. Definitely going to be bringing some content from Australia. A couple of podcasts, a new video, a couple videos for the YouTube channel, a new vlog. I finally started putting together our ABKC museum trip vlog.
Oh, good. Very good.
It's going to be more content coming.
Good. I can get the museum tour started.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It was so good. Like, and I got good footage of all the stuff inside. I didn't know if it was going to be light enough, but plenty of light.
Oh, good.
So that'll be coming out hopefully next week or maybe in a few days when I can get. Oh yeah! Also tomorrow night, Thursday. What's tomorrow? What's the 14th? 19th. Thursday the 19th. Kev Green and I are going to do a live late night tomorrow night. I'll be on Kev Green's page, channel, show. Not sure exactly what it is. Kev gave me the exclusive first crack at the interview when he left, so I'm giving him the first crack since I left. And again, it's not going to be a big bash session. That's not what we're going to get into. Kev and I have been trying to get linked up and talk about some stuff for a minute. So, Jew, I appreciate that. Indonesia, welcome you anytime. Ty, contact me. I appreciate that. I love your face. I can't wait to come to Bali and try the mushrooms because mushrooms are legal there. So I'm going to trip my balls out actually when I get there. So I might not see one dog, or the dogs that I see might not be real. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my.
Anyway, let's talk about some shit that actually matters. I'm sick of talking about me.
Can I read a little thing about judges? And, you know, a lot of people think it just comes naturally after you handle, after you show well, after you breed well, you become a judge. But it's,
well, this whole thing Monday started with a post I made about why would I pay for the opinions of these people when they have no idea.
I was at the museum.
Apparently that was an issue.
And missed this whole thing. Do you even know that?
No.
I missed the whole day. I was one of those shut the phones off. I was going to be, you know, grandma of the year at the old dinosaur museum. And then I got back in the car.
I should have went to the dinosaur museum.
Got back in the car and my phone was going crazy. And like, what?
No such thing as a perfect shorty bowl. Somebody asked, what is a perfect shorty bowl? I keep hearing all kind of stuff. No such thing.
What is a perfect shorty bowl?
What is the perfect shorty bowl?
There's not just one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really nice shorty
You
bowls.
know, there's good dogs and then there's a great dog, but even that great dog may not be the best dog for your bitch. So we got to get that one dog out of everybody's head. We have a general idea. That's what the standard is.
Right.
The ideal, okay?
Standard's a blueprint. You know, it's a blueprint for the ideal.
This is what isn't cool. This is what's going to get it kicked out.
It's a unicorn, basically.
This is what makes you know it's a shorty bull and not a Frenchie or an English or a poodle or a basset.
Ivan just said, you're awesome, bro. Keep doing the good job you've been doing for years. Ivan, I appreciate that. And I appreciate everybody that's been supportive. But I would like to stop talking about that. So, Jamie, change the subject, please. Everybody that came to hear about that, you're free to go now. That's probably half the people that are on here.
Yeah. Yeah, because the rest is boring stuff about breeding dogs and stuff like that. You want me to get right into the part 2?
Yeah, I mean, I would like you to say something so we can, or we can go through these comments. Some of these comments are pretty good.
Well,
I'm still ugly. Thanks, Con. I appreciate that. You fuck. What registry am I thinking about judging for? Nobody right now. That's not the thought process, and that's not like a decision I want to make right now. Probably AKC. Probably FCI. Probably the Kennel Club in the UK. There's a lot of places I can go. There are obviously bully registries. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet at all. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not even sure if I want to do that again. I think I want to go higher. You know, I feel like that was a good place to start. You know?
that was a great place to start.
It was a good place to start.
Great place to start.
I really learned a lot, not from them, but on my own. I really learned a lot in the time that from when I started judging to now. From the show that we went to where I apprenticed under you guys, where John was like, I just need to see 10 seconds. And I'm like, what the fuck is he even talking? What does that even mean? You only need to see 10 seconds. But from then to now, I feel like there's not too many rooms that I'm not going to be one of the most knowledgeable people in the room. And I pride myself on that. So I'm glad it was a good place to start. But don't be surprised if you see a motherfucker in a suit at an AKC show in the near future. I'm dead serious. Man, probably not UKC. I think I've bashed them enough. I don't know if they're gonna let me.
Just skip that one. That's polyester. Skip that one. Gonna skip that one. So I'm gonna go. Do you care if I go on part 2 of line breeding?
Do it.
Okay.
Oh no, let's do that. Line breeding. We did Inbreeding 101.
Yeah, so we're on line breeding and outcrossing.
Episode 101, and then I went off the rails a little bit Monday. Well, see, and what's funny is Monday, when I did that podcast Monday, all this shit had already happened.
Oh.
So I did the podcast just to get my mind off of all that shit. And you could tell, there was a couple of times I listened, there's one of the few episodes I actually listened to, you could tell I was frustrated a couple of different points, but at the same time, it helped me get my fucking mind off the whole thing. But I don't even know. Like, all this shit went down, and then I just thought, well, fuck, I'm going to sit down and do a podcast. At least that'll be an hour where I don't have to think about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but we did Inbreeding 101 on episode 101. And then we have line breeding and outcross still to go.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be short. And I'm going to have to read it. Here's the notes. But...
Oh, here we go. You want me to read these?
No, that's just
I don't.
That's just the highlights.
Nope, you stop talking. You go ahead and you just go ahead and shut it down.
Line breeding is a broader kind of inbreeding that conserves valuable characteristics by concentration, and in a general sense gives us some control of type, but a lesser control over specific characteristics. It creates strains or families within the breed which are easily recognized by their similar conformation. This is the breeding method used by most of the larger kennels with varied success, since it is not extreme and therefore relatively safe. It is also the method the neophyte is generally advised to employ for the same reasons. Specifically, line breeding entails the selection of breeding partners who have in their pedigrees one or more common ancestors. These individuals, or individual, occur repeatedly within the first 4 or 5 generations, so that it can be assumed their genetic influence molds the type of succeeding generations.
Okay, let me jump in. First, 2 things. First thing, what the fuck's a neophyte? Is that a newbie? Greenhorn? Somebody wet behind the ears?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that? We need to Google. We need somebody to hit Google on that neophyte. Somebody Google what neophyte means and type it in the comments.
The little bug.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's.
I think it is. I think it's like a baby grasshopper.
Yeah, but I think right here they're referring to a person, I think, but maybe like an amateur or a novice.
Yeah, like a little
young
grasshopper.
Second, when you say individuals have related ancestry. Mm-hmm. Now, it also says it has to be repeating, or does it not have to be?
Yeah, the same ancestor, one or several. Or
so
one
it could be
2 or 3.
one. So it could be one.
Could be one.
If let's say I've got dog X in the first generation over here, but dog X is in the 5th generation over here.
Well, 5th is back too far.
This is my point. Now, where does it? Because I just had this conversation with Matthew Kwan today. We were talking about what's
5th.
too far back and what would be considered line breeding. To me, anything behind that 4th, because that 4th is where you get those throwbacks, right? We've talked about that. That's what I've
found. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we've talked about. That 4th generation is where you're going to see those throwbacks to that. And probably if it's line bred, you're going to see throwbacks to that look in that 4th generation if it's line bred.
Probably.
So anything past that to me could be considered an outcross, even though there's related stuff maybe scattered into one side. Yeah, right? So if you get back here, this is what 1, 2, 3. So all this first 3, if they're related anywhere top or bottom, that's line breeding. 100%. And then if you get past that 4th, and even if there are related, but it's not like stacked the fuck up on top of each other, I feel like you could consider that outcross if it's back far enough. But it says unrelated and related. So even if you have one dog in the 7th generation on both sides, that's technically related ancestry. So would that still be line breeding? To me, that's not line breeding.
That would be like super loose.
That'd be like a great, that'd be like the tweeners.
But it has to be carried forward, to be line bred. Because you're losing it as you come this way.
So if there's 2 related ancestors in the 6th generation, but nothing else related forward. To me, that's probably not really, that's to me not line bred. Maybe by definition, technically it is, because there is related ancestry behind them. But that's not going to help you in your breeding purposes.
Well, it goes on to explain that.
Oh, copy?
It is, in fact, that many breed success has been obtained by line breeding to outstanding individuals. This method varies greatly in intensity, so that some dogs may be strongly line bred, while others only remotely so. Selection is an important factor here too, for if we line breed to procure the specific type of a certain fine animal, then we must select in succeeding generations breeding stock, which is the prototype of that individual or our reason for line breeding is lost. So you can't be changing your mind in the middle of the line breeding or the inbreeding.
Right, so you need to definitely pick a type, right? Pick a style that you would like.
Yeah, and pick your traits
And
out.
line breed on that style. Pick the traits that you're trying to get more consistent in your program. And
Put like
line
to
breed.
like, yes.
Line breed off of that. Not necessarily line breed the names in your pedigree. Line breed the traits those names bring with them.
One of the chief dangers of line breeding can be contributed by the breeder of the strain. Many times the breeder reaches a point where he selects his breeding partners on pedigree alone instead of by individual selection and pedigree.
You're going to have to start
combined
that
with
over.
the
Hold on one second. Matthew Kwan, who I was having this conversation with earlier, said, so in the book it says 5, so it must be means 5 generations.
5
just like we were just
yeah.
talking about. But experience, no. I feel like that's pretty close. Anything past 5 isn't going to fucking matter anyway. I know people are going to say that. Most of these breeds aren't established breeds where the pedigree goes back line bred 300 fucking generations. Most of our stuff is crossed and mixed and still kind of a fucking melting pot of shit in there. So you're not going to... 5 generations behind your shit's not going to matter right now, in my opinion.
If
from what I've seen.
If you bred the 5 generations back, it's really going to matter. If you didn't, that's not as tight either.
Right, but if you're bringing something back to the front from 5 generations back, you're probably going to see more stuff. You're probably going to see if that's how you're doing it. But for me, if I'm going to line breed like that, then I'm going to go to the grandfather or the great uncle or the 3 generations maybe max. I'm not going to go 5 generations back and bring.
If
something
it's not
to the front.
apparent, I don't want to hope for things. I really don't want to hope for things. I want to count on things and then double those up. That's what I like. That's just what I like to do. But I don't want to hope on something way back here. I'm not going to waste my time doing that.
So you're saying, so let's say you've got a female 5 generations away from, let's use Rampage, even though we can't do this anymore. Let's use Rampage. So you got 5 generations ahead of Rampage. So like, let's say you had frozen semen off him. Would you go 5 generations back to him?
Well, only if that was what I wanted to do in this breeding. But the longer I do this, I think I must be odd. I must be an oddball in how I do this.
Why?
Well, because I'm just not. I could do it with no pedigree. That's how much I rely on that. I'd like to base it on what's in front of me.
Dog to dog.
Phenotype. And what I know came.
And the litter mates.
Yeah,
Right.
When I look at a pedigree and, my name's on all this, that's all those puppies I kept. I kept every single one to get somewhere without changing my mind. And I think that's
a unique situation.
I think that is
the
a unique
majority
situation.
of these people, myself included, can't do that.
I know, but that's because this is my 3rd breed I've intensely bred. This is my 3rd thing, not my first thing.
And that goes back to the numbers too. If you start with a 3-dog sample, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to where your whole pedigree is your shit.
Yeah. But I've never ever, I've been more scared of things that might pop up back here than ever hoped to bring them. I'll say that.
Right.
Even if they're lined up, a few times. I remember in Oldies a long time ago, it was 9 times Hugo and all that jazz.
Well, there's breedings going down right now, 25 times Dax, some of them.
Yeah.
So you got to think some of the bad shit's going to come with that, regardless if the 2 dogs in front of you have it or not.
Right. And it's always a good idea to put the stuff together to see what you're looking at, what's really there and going to come out.
But see, that's not a PETA-friendly conversation right there.
That's true.
That experiments are not PETA-friendly.
That is true. They
But
really hate
you and I
line breeding and
both
inbreeding.
know you have to do an experiment once in a while just to see where you're at. To see the traits, to see the attributes, to see the
If you can't do that,
faults.
if you can't do those things and just do those and take care of it and be accountable, don't have a big vision then. Just don't. Just follow somebody's plan.
Right.
And do it that way.
Right.
Because a lot of having a vision is you have to be accountable for,
Plug that in there.
you know, the whole. You have to go full circle with that.
Yeah,
You can't just
agree.
do the fun part.
No, and I agree, and I feel like sometimes the inbred litters are the best, like the most consistent, and then sometimes some throwbacks come out that you didn't expect at all. You know, like there's certain bloods, if you get too tight, you'll see some terrier shit start to come back out of it. Even if the stuff that you breed is bulldoggy, you know? So it's, you have to know the gene pool, which is why it helps to know the pedigree, but you have to know what's coming along with the names. Fuck what the names actually are, but you have to know what comes along with the names.
And you'll never know that. Like you'll know it
Oh, here's a good one for you.
when your name is on all these and you kept all these dogs. You know exactly what
Right.
is there.
This is why I tell people, everybody that asks me, I say, pay more attention to the litter mates than the grandparents. You're going to see more of the litter mate traits come through than you will the grandparents come through. Just from my experience, probably the breeding books and all that's probably going to contradict all that. From what I've seen, you're going to see more of the litter mates come out than you are the grandparents. Now, throwback, like we were talking about, third, fourth generation, you see the throwbacks. That's going to happen no matter what you do, I feel like. If you're line breeding, especially, if you're inbreeding, especially.
Yeah, you probably get one here and there.
Jose, old Kahuna,
Oh, what's Jose Kahuma?
said, what's an acceptable COI?
You know when I think about COI.
That's why I wanted to ask you. COIs are bullshit, Jose. No, honestly, like we were talking about before, a lot of these established breeds, that coefficient of inbreeding is going to be an important thing that you want to look at. For a lot of this stuff, especially American bullies, we don't fucking even know where a lot of the stuff is. We don't know what's crossed and mixed and line bred and inbred, and we don't fucking know with a lot of them.
Yeah. So, that's why.
So I feel like a COI for American bullies is kind of non.
I say go to the movies or something. Don't spend your money on a COI. Go buy a bag of smokes.
So you've never figured out a COI for any shorty bulls?
Nah, I don't need to do that.
I figured I did a COI on Maestro.
And what'd it tell you?
It's like 12%. His stuff's so wide open. Like I could do anything and go. And the good thing, what I like about that is he produces consistently still without that COI being real high. You know, because a lot of people correlate a high COI with consistent production. Like if you're inbred, like if you're tightly bred on the pedigree, you're probably going to push your genetics. They're going to be more of a chance for those things that you want, that you're breeding for, to come out. With him, he's wide open and still producing the dominant traits that I want. So with him, I can line breed him, I can inbreed him still, and not really worry about any of the. I mean, you still have shit to worry about coming up, like stuff that's in there coming up front when you inbreed anything. But he's wide open. So I'm excited about that. Actually, I got two breedings this week, actually, with him going down.
Do you?
A couple of Maestro bangers.
Okay, so.
Before you finish, Ron Ramos, I promise you, ask Jamie Sweet what she said right here. You talk to her about what the cell phone service is like in Kansas and how shitty my phone is to talk to people.
It's horrible.
It's the worst. I love your face. It's old, but I love it. Ron said, breeding on actual phenotype. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. Breeding the actual phenotype and worrying more about that than the genotype. Even though they're both important.
They are. We got to have a pedigree and all that jazz, but, and everybody has their own style and what they do. Okay, so, continuing on.
All right, we got sidetracked. That's my
We did. To find a strain which has definite characteristics within the breed, the following recommendations can be used as a guide. Number 1, decide what few traits are essential and what faults are intolerable.
Read that again.
I love this.
Read that again.
Decide what few traits are essential and what faults are intolerable. Intolerable. I love that word. Now, this is something
you can't live with. Shit that you cannot live with.
worth trying to mess around and fix, and what's worth scrapping. Just forget it. Just scrap it. It's too hard to fix. Vigor, fertility, character, and temperament must be included in these essentials. Because if you lose that, you're killed.
And fertility to me is a big one.
That's
with
huge.
Inbreeding that people don't take into consideration.
And downsize. I mean, if you're going to make something huge, small, fertility is going to be affected. Okay, develop a scoring system and score selected virtues and faults in accordance with your breeding aim. Particular stress should be put upon scoring for individual traits which need improvement. That's like just what I said, like this trumps this.
Right, but that goes back to something we talk about a lot too, is making sure you know the value of what you want in your program, like the traits, the attributes that you want, and the faults that you can't live with. You got to have a value system. Whether it's like give it a 1 to 10, bad feet for me, and bad feet for you, as far as faults go, might be different values on the fault side, and like real wide, blocky, square, cheeky heads might be a different value from person to person too. So it's all about what you're actually trying to accomplish in your breeding program. On top of that, on top of the line breeding and stuff, you need to really
that's why they call this a juggle
at the base, probably.
That's why they call this a juggle, and then you have to decide where are you going to fix what. Because if you start here with heads and you let everything else go, you get over here and you wish you would have paid attention to some other things besides the head.
Right, and
so
you're saying if you started, if 4 generations back, you let everything go but the head.
Yeah,
when you get to the current generation, trying to add stuff.
Now
to
you
that
have a beautiful head and ugly feet. You have
or
a
no
beautiful
body
head,
to go with it.
Yeah, or no rear end, or So you have to decide, the order of fixing your faults and how important these are to carry on. And that's why they call it a juggle. Okay, line breeding consistently to the best individuals produced, which by the progeny test show that they will further improve the strain. Inbreeding can be indulged in if the animal used is of exceptional quality with no outstanding faults. Outcrossings can be made to bring in wanted characteristics if they are missing from the basic stock. Relationship need not be close in the foundation animals, since wide outcrosses will give greater variation and therefore offer a much wider selection of desirable trait combinations. That should speak to Shorty Bull.
I feel like you say that all the time,
I do.
But different wording. Like first of all, whoever wrote this article is using words that I can't. Some of these words I can't comprehend. But you say that exact same thing, different wording all the time.
Right. That is so important.
And when it's saying outcrosses, you're saying that'll work for a mix too. That kind of cross, the F1 cross.
I think that is a total flipping outcross. When you're breeding two different breeds. Hello.
Unless it's a bully to a bulldog, because that bulldog might already be in the bully's pedigree somewhere. But if
but that's your
6 generations back, exactly who's where and where they are in the pedigree, then fuck yeah, that's that to me, like that's the ultimate outcross.
Yeah. Now
is an F1 breed.
Right. Now, taking that one step further, you can't always use the same sex in your F1s. You can't always use the male Frenchie and
small pocket,
the female whatever you're using. You have to mix the sexes up too, if your goal is consistency down here. Because females pull from.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. So you're saying like. Let's not even use shorties, because that's not gonna carry over for a lot of people.
Let's use Pomskis.
You use just a regular, like a collie.
Yeah.
Right. So even if you're just outcrossing your blood, your line with an established breed, that once you get to a certain point, you're gonna need some completely unrelated blood. Especially if you get to a point where you can't add, your line doesn't have the ability to add the attribute that you're trying to add, or you know, you don't have the ability to remove something that you're trying to avoid bringing forward.
Yeah,
right?
so
If you don't have the ability to get away from that as you get two or three generations
and things
in.
pop up you're not even planning on. But when you start your first little group, you should start your outcross group as well. Start them at the same time.
Right, and this is something you talked to me about, how you built an outcross. Big Kev Benford from the lounge also told me about this. You built a outcross line within your own shit.
Yeah.
Something completely unrelated, but the same phenotype. So then when you got to a certain place with the other side, you could had this that carried the same
kept
traits.
up to snuff this whole time.
Right, but completely unrelated as far as the blood goes. And Kev was telling me something about that also, and that to me, like, that's next level shit. That's a different level.
Yeah, that's...
You know? Thinking that far ahead, like, that's a different level.
Well, that's because you got stuck one time, and then you have to outcross, and you're like, what am I going to use now?
Because
I got to start clear over.
Because then trying to find an outcross with the similar traits or the similar look,
really
it's
hard.
hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. So now we're going to talk about outcross breeding.
Hold on, read this last part right here.
Every dog used in this breeding program to establish a strain must be rigidly assessed for individual and breeding excellence and the average excellence of its relatives and its progeny. You know that's a math equation.
No, I think when I read it on paper, I feel like it's line breeding in a nutshell. Every dog used in this breeding program to establish a strain must be rigidly assessed for individual and breeding excellence.
You know what's funny in this community? We never hear anybody like, I'm going to establish a strain. Whatever they're going to do. I'm going to make a bloodline.
And the average excellence of its relatives and its progeny.
Yeah.
But see, this is what we're, like, you say all the time. You let one mediocre motherfucker in there, and you're going to see that mediocre motherfucker come back every generation at some point just to stare you in your face.
Yeah. Yes, it will haunt you. You know? Outcross breeding. Here we go. Y'all ready? Get your pencils out. Outcross breeding is the choosing of breeding partners whose pedigrees in the first 5 or 6 gens are free from any common ancestry. So we're going one generation farther. With our dogs, we cannot outcross in the true sense of the term, since the genetic basis of all pure breeds is based upon the germplasm of a few selected individuals. To outcross completely, using the term literally, it would be necessary to use an individual of an alien breed as one of the breeding partners.
Now, when you say alien breed, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
I don't know if we should even go into that because you're going to throw everybody off there. The genetic basis of all pure breeds is based upon the germplasm of a few selected individuals. You know?
See, we're going back to this germplasm
well,
word
that's
again.
like the DNA part. That's all the info.
I'm not a fucking scientist, man. I'm a dog breeder. I don't understand what we're getting into. We're going to start breaking out allele boxes and shit. I can't.
No, we're not going to do that. No. So we're going to just leave that little paragraph right there. This is why you don't read Eye for a Dog first. This is why.
Well, I think the first book you had me reading was The Dog in Action.
Yeah, that's a great one, but don't read Eye for a Dog. That'll just screw you up.
It's great. If you guys haven't, if you haven't read yet, the Dog in Action.
It's a great.
Is it A Dog in Action or The Dog in Action?
The Dog in Action by McDowell Lyons, and it's a hard little read in the beginning. It's really an old book, but it's great.
I got it too early, and it took me like a whole year and a half probably to be able to go through and read and be able to soak it up and comprehend what the fuck he was saying
over and over.
But
when it clicks, it clicks.
When you first, like, when you're on that novice level and somebody says form follows function, you think in your brain, well, it's got to be a functional dog. It's you know, and that's not what it means. It's not what form follow function means. It means the dog looks a certain way. It's going to have limitations on its ability one way or the other. You know, a bulldog is not going to be able to move the same way as a borzoi. Because they're just not formed the same way, right?
Their center of gravity's not even in the same place.
No.
You know, their proportions are completely different.
So it's like when you first read books like that, and that's why I love solving the mysteries of breed type, because Beauchamp really like uses kind of simple terms, not like simpleton terms, but simple enough terms to where you can grasp exactly what he's talking about. Speaking of breed type, this is completely off topic.
Oh dear.
I seen a post. There's no lie. A post on Debatable, which I don't know why I still am on Debatable. It's fucking entertaining sometimes. It's really discouraging sometimes, though. These people. Anyway, the post said, anybody who uses the word breed type has no idea what they're talking about.
Really?
And I'm like,
Okay.
or it was something about breed types not even real, and people who use it have no idea. Something along those lines. And I was just like, dude, there's like 6 books written on breed type. Like, there are people that have been doing this much longer than motherfuckers have been alive. They have written books on breed type. Like, somebody get this man a book.
Lord.
Let's get him a subscription to Audible so he can listen to the books, because he obviously can't fucking read.
Breed type is what we look at when we decide what the dog in the pound is. That's breed type. So yeah, everybody uses some breed type here and there. A 3-year-old can tell you about breed type. He can probably tell you which is the bulldog and which is the chihuahua. That's breed type.
That is.
Okay.
But at the same time, for some reason, you get to a certain place in your brain where that's not the first thing you see anymore. It is subliminally, subconsciously, but then you get to a place like these elementary school judges that are fault judging everything. So the first thing that they see is splayed toes or an underbite or a gay tail or a instead of seeing, oh, that dog like really carries fucking itself like a short, like that is a fucking shorty bull.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's actually going on yet, we haven't got to that point yet. The first thing you see is, man, that's a motherfucking shorty bull.
And you know what?
That's a nice dog.
I don't know where they got that. That it was. I don't even know. I'm not even going to go there. That's for another time.
Nope, no fault judging. Can't bait her. Cannot bait her in.
We got to read this. For the breeder to exercise any control over the progeny of an outcross mating, one of the partners should be inbred or closely line bred.
Nope.
The other partner should show in himself and by the progeny test when bred to other bitches that is dominant in the needed compensations, which are the reasons for the outcross. So that better be throwing what you're liking and what's needed.
We're gonna need
That's
a
what that
fucking
says.
interpreter for this.
No, that's what that
I
says.
can't understand a word.
What? This says if you're
Dominant in the needed. What does it say?
compensations, which are the reasons for the outcross. So if you're trying to make...
Oh, no, all right. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Thus, by outcross breeding, we bring new and needed characteristics into a strain along with greater vigor and generally a lack of uniformity in the young. Okay, so all that's saying is you're going to match trait to trait. Okay, in your outcross, you want the same stuff in your outcross.
Right.
You don't...
But I feel like it's also saying you're going to lose a little bit of your consistency because
it's an outcross.
Because you're opening up the gene
But
pool
surely
so much.
somebody would... You have to tell them that? You think?
Yeah, motherfucker. This person doesn't even know what breed type is. He thought that was fake. He thought somebody made it up. He heard he watched a YouTube video on some fuckbag's channel and heard him say the breed type's not real, and then he repeated that shit. Yes, we have to say word for word. We got to tell him.
I think it's me that had unrealistic expectations this whole time. I think it's me.
Of people?
Yeah.
Of the community?
Well, yeah.
But I feel like that's like a gift and a curse because you are so much fucking... Like, you built a whole strain to outcross inside your program. Like,
but that's just natural. That's just what you do.
That's a different level.
I mean, do you really think somebody's going to outcross just like, I'm going to outcross and they don't even think? They're just thinking, I just got to go to a different thing to outcross, like even if it looks terrier and I don't like it?
No, James, I feel like they're going to go...
Insane.
Jose's got a blue tri down the street and we're throwing him to my bitch. I got a trindle bitch and we're going to get some tries. That's what I feel like is happening right now. More than people are thinking about putting this kind of effort into their programs, they're thinking about how much am I going to spend, how much am I going to make, what colors am I going to get, and what are the names in the pedigree. I feel like that's the thought process right now, not building an actual program, definitely not building a strain within your program to make sure you have a phenotypically compatible outcross. Like, that's a different fucking level, I'm telling you.
That is wild to me. Here again, we have a breeding method which has produced excellent individuals since it tends to conceal recessive genes and promote individual merit. But it generally leads to a lower breeding worth in the outbred animal by dispersing favorable genetic combinations, which has given us strain uniformity.
Well, why would it lower the worth, though?
The breeding worth in the outbred animal.
Because it's not as consistent as a
Well, it's dispersing favorable genetic combinations, which has given us uniformity. So we're getting more uniform. So it's not just only one, which is the whole idea. You know.
I think that's interesting because I think that's probably true in bullies also. Like, people love inbred shit because it seems to be more consistent producers. And I feel like people look down on scatterbred stuff.
Yeah.
And this, how long was this article written? And this has nothing to do with bullies. This
Long time ago, yeah. But this pertains to everything. If you do
every
this,
breed, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying, every breed.
Mm-hmm. Outcross breeding can be likened to a jigsaw puzzle. We have a puzzle made up of pieces of various shapes and sizes, which, when fitted together, form a certain pattern. This basic puzzle is compared to our linebred or inbred strain. But in this puzzler, there are a few pieces that we would like to change, and in doing so, change the finished puzzle pattern for the better. We outcross by removing some of the pieces and reshaping them to our fancy, remembering that these new shapes also affect the shapes of the adjoining pieces, which must then be slightly altered for a perfect fit. When this has been successfully accomplished, the finished pattern has been altered to suit our pleasure, we hope. So then that's when you have a strain. When you have a strain, and it's a good one, and you did your work and it turned out right, you know it when you see it. This they're known for this, you know? They have a lot of top skull and whatever it is, you know? And you can recognize it. Then you know. And that's just another thing, another little piece of type. But you know, a bloodline. People want to develop a bloodline, but the main thing about bloodlines is what they do, or there's recognizable,
consistent traits.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Consistent.
That's what you can see. That's
every breeding. Like, before Miyagi came along, the Kingpin stuff, like that Kingpin line strain, was really consistent for a certain look to the head and a certain look to the muscle and a certain body type. Like, it was really consistent for that kind of shit. And then, you know, a line got crossed somewhere and it went a whole, that Miyagi strain went a whole different direction, I feel like, than the actual Kingpin line stuff.
Yeah, and that's.
But you can
that's
recognize a Kingpin line dog from a mile and a half away.
Yeah.
You know, just because of the head.
You know, when I first met Clint, we were at a big show. I think it was in Texas. Might have been the Third Coast Bully Show. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And I was unloading dogs, and I looked over, and I saw 3 dogs in a line. They just looked like cookie cutters. 3 of them, 3 males. And I stopped what I was doing. I said, I gotta go see who this is, man. That's crazy consistent. Anyway, it was a grandfather and a father and a son. And it was real impressive to see that.
Was it Dos Equis?
Yeah, I thought, no.
Wild Bill, Dos Equis.
That's what it was,
and,
yeah.
Fuck, I know the 3 dogs. I know the exact 3 dogs.
But I mean,
I
could see it from.
You could see it.
Yeah, it made me stop and, you know.
One of our faithful listeners, Nick, has three dogs out of the same litter that you could I could see it from across the field. You know, like you could clearly see these 3 dogs are all related and closely related, and from one litter, like that's probably more likely than getting a grandfather, father, son. Like that's tough. It was
very impressive. Okay,
But I feel like you could see that in Goldberg and stuff that comes off of him. You can see Goldberg and his stuff all the time.
Well, you can see the things he does, or what they do. You can see those things.
Right.
I don't know.
It's hard to get something like super that you know for a fact like that's a father son combination, like that's tough.
And then sometimes you're just like, oh, that's got to be, Okay. It sometimes happens that a line-bred or inbred bitch will be outcross-bred to a stud possessed of an open pedigree. It would be assumed by the breeder that the bitch's family type would dominate in the resulting progeny. But occasionally, the stud proves himself to be strongly prepotent, and the young instead reflect his individual qualities, not those of the bitch. This can be good or bad depending on what you're looking for in the resultant litter. Now, prepotent, that's a whole other topic.
Go right back to the beginning.
That's a whole other
because
topic.
everybody's stuck on this genetics are 50-50, James.
Oh,
you get half from the dad, and you get half from the mom, and you get half of the look from here and half of the look from there, and that's how it works. That's how my book says it works, and that's how it works.
And you know what else I found here recently that is just surprising to me? We're always rolling that dice can. There's not a guarantee. So...
But I feel like, just like that says, the
just
majority of the time, the bitch is going to dominate the physical characteristics of the offspring. The majority of the time, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and then we're not getting the same thing. You can repeat the litter. Sometimes it'll be the same every time, and that's called a nick, and it clicks, and you can count on it. Sometimes, it's hard to believe.
What? A nick.
A nick.
I like that.
I don't even think anybody uses that term anymore.
I've never even done a repeat breed.
I know, but you know what? Bully people are like superstitious about that or something. I like repeats myself. I've done.
I am actually a little superstitious about it.
Yeah, I know. It just, you guys are.
But half of the not half, but some of the value of my stuff is how exclusive it is. So doing a repeat, especially if that first litter was valuable and sought after, doing a repeat kind of takes away from some of that value.
I'm keeping it all.
Well, and that's another way to look at it. Like if it's that successful the first time and you repeat it, why wouldn't you? Why would you let
sometimes it goes clear the fuck off the map. I had that happen big time. Like black and white off the map. It was so different.
Actually, you know what I think? The most famous repeat I can think about, actually, that short shot diamond breeding went down about 64 times, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they bred those dogs every time till she was about 16 years old. But the most famous is the Roscoe smoke breeding from Michaelin's that produced Bubba. A lot of people that are listening to the show won't have any idea what I'm talking about. Ramos know what the fuck I'm talking about. Roscoe Smoke produced Bubba, produced the first litter produced a full litter of absolute superstars in the Michaelin program. And the second litter...
That's like once in a lifetime stuff.
And the second litter produced nice dogs, but not fucking superstar level dogs like the first one, There's no Bubba coming out of the second litter, Yeah. But that was to me, that was the most famous repeat that I ever seen, because even some of the dogs out of the second litter they were, a big name or a decent name as far as I think one was named 100 grand or 100 grand. Sometimes you just need $650.
$650. Well, we are famous for one of our oldie repeats that we did a lot of times. Maddie noticed.
I remember you telling me about this.
Oh my gosh. It was so consistent. It was so cool.
Automatic.
And it was just bizarre how it worked. It clicked so hard. The offspring were always bigger than both the parents, and it was crazy. I should have had pictures out of that to show you tonight. It was crazy. But it was really nice.
How many times did you repeat it?
I think we did that 5 times.
Same parents?
Yeah, we just did it a lot and always kept. Yeah. It was so good.
But if it's consistent every
so
time, I feel like that could be that could be like a really
No, it was super
beneficial
good.
thing.
It was
I
super
feel.
duper good. We never had that good of a luck again. But
Especially if you had like a line of people that if you told them you were repeating that, the people
Yeah.
were like, "Oh no, I'll take one for sure,
yeah,
100%."
it was crazy. It was good. Incidentally, when we speak of corrective or compensation breeding, we do not mean the breeding of extremes to achieve an intermediate effect. Corrective or compensation breeding means the breeding of one partner which is lacking or faulty in any specific respect to an animal which is normal or excellent in the particular area where the other partner is found lacking. In the resulting progeny, we can expect to find some young which will show the desired improvement. Did you get that?
No,
It's like the law of halves. So,
I was writing a note.
I saw that.
Do it again. Hit me.
No. I'm just gonna compound it.
Like no.
Okay. Yeah. So, if you're breeding, like we always say, we want the stud that complements this bitch. Okay, well, people have different definitions for complimenting. Like, this bitch's stifles are straight as an arrow, and he's over-angulated. So maybe if I breed the two together, I'll come right down the middle. No, you won't. You'll get straight, you'll get over-angulated, and you'll get some that are okay.
Right.
So you better be picking for that. Don't try to change too many of those things at once.
Step by step, small steps, baby
Yeah.
steps.
Yeah. Okay, so some are going to show the improvement. To sum up briefly, we find that inbreeding brings us a fixity of type and simplifies the breeding formula. It strengthens desirable dominance and brings hidden and undesirable recessives to the surface, where they can be recognized and possibly corrected by outcross breeding.
I like that first part. It strengthens the desirable dominance.
Yes. We're
I
doubling
love
up
that.
on
I
that.
don't think I've done enough inbreeding yet. I think that's exactly what
It's a really
my program needs. That's the next level of shit.
It's really if you're really a dog breeder, it's a really interesting challenge.
Especially with how consistent I'm getting with the outcrosses that I've been doing. Like I think that it's gonna get
And
more
I think
consistent.
I think that's how everybody should start, because you're picking what you like. What you like.
It's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I want this head and neck piece. I want this rear. I want this rib cage. I want this bone. I want more of that bone.
I know it's like you're at a buffet.
And that's what I've been doing for 5 years, is just kind of plucking little pieces together until now I'm getting complete dogs out. That
So
I
now
like,
it's time.
you know?
When you get two that are what you really like.
Inbreeding. We just did 2 inbreedings this week, actually. We have to do 2 breedings tonight. Once we're done with this, my shit's not over. My night's not over. I still got 2 breedings.
I did mine before. Okay. When we have thus established definite improvement in type by rigid selection for wanted characteristics, we line breed to create and establish a strain or family line which, in various degrees, incorporates and produces the improvements which have been attained. Okay? So you're getting better, getting what you want. Then you have a strain when you've
That's
got that
exactly
down.
what we just said.
Yes.
You know, like that's like what I just said about my program is exactly what that's saying. You get in there what you need, and then you line that shit up and get more consistent on the improvements.
Lock it in. I would say lock it in. In the maze of hidden and obvious genetic stirring, I like that, genetic stirring, we must not forget the importance of the concrete essence that stands before us. The breeding partners must be examined as individuals in themselves. Could you guys read that again?
You read that. Say it loud.
Examined as individuals in themselves, apart from the story their pedigree tells us. For us individuals, they have been fashioned by and are the custodians of their germplasm, and mirror this fact in their being. Breedings made from paper study only are akin to human marriages arranged in youth by a third party without consulting the partners. They can be consummated, but have small chance of success. Wow, that's a crazy little ending there.
Yeah. So no, she's comparing. Like she's saying, okay, so I have a great example of this because I did this the first year I was breeding. I sat down and wrote down. I built pedigrees before the dogs were even born. Right. I'm gonna do this breeding, and I'm gonna take this breeding to this breeding, and then I'm gonna take these off. Then, no, You know how many of those breedings actually happen? Is it probably two? Probably 2 out of fucking 60 that I
That's
thought.
okay. That's good, man. He was into it.
But doing that is like arranging marriages of 10-year-old kids. You know what I'm saying? You can stick that shit together, but the chances of it actually meshing together and working out is slim to none. And then you see those puppies that, okay, I'm going to do this breeding, I'm going to take this male and this female together. Then you see that male grow up and he's shit. You can't just continue to do that because he's shit.
And then you can't, like,
You
make
gotta
an excuse.
cut him out.
You can't make an excuse for that.
Right, you can't be married to that idea of that breeding going down if one of those dogs turns out
Now
like
this
shit.
This is a great ending for this podcast because this is our whole problem in
Trying
dogs.
to shut it down already.
In judging
Just
and
get fired
everything.
up.
You gotta see those shortcomings right there. And you can't brush that shit under the rug. And you can't not talk about it and talk about it nice and all that. If you're gonna really do this, that's the first thing you gotta do. Recognize where you fell short. Or have somebody help you and tell you.
Well, that brings us right back around to
That's what I'm
shows
saying.
and judges.
Because-
That's why it's important
yeah.
to have judges that you can fucking rely on being competent judges and giving
Because-
you a competent
Yeah.
evaluation of your shit.
Because when we tell everybody,
Without
let
their
it slide.
preference getting involved.
we just let it slide. We don't withhold ribbons. We don't, all that stuff.
Don't say we. Don't put me
Yeah,
in that.
well,
the whole dad's withholding ribbons.
Yeah, me too. But, I mean, when that doesn't happen, then it's encouraged to breed that stuff.
Even if that dog
Okay.
that shouldn't be bred
So it's
gets a
not
third
just-
place ribbon, someone's going to be proud of that third place ribbon.
We have to
If the dog
recognize shortcomings.
shouldn't be bred, it shouldn't get a ribbon. That's period. If
I
that
mean,
dog should not, if you in your brain go, that dog shouldn't be bred into the gene pool, then you can't give that dog a ribbon. Somebody's going to see that third place or that second place, even if you withhold in the class, but you think that dog should be dismissed. Or even if you don't withhold in the class, but you think that should be
Maybe
withhold.
this is an idea.
Withheld.
This is
You're
what we
giving
did.
them an idea, like, even if it's the only dog, somebody's going to be proud of that and breed that fucking dog because of it.
This is an idea. When we had our BBC Nationals, well, we got a couple things messed up, whatever, but it was decided we could just give first place ribbons, and that was a great idea. That was great.
No second, third?
No.
Whoa. That sounds like a dream date right there.
First place ribbons. It was pretty cool. You know?
You just picked a winner.
That's it. Maybe we need to go back to that. Maybe we need to simplify this because we've got it so complicated right now and we've got people confused.
Oh my God.
And
how many people
we
would
need to probably
shit a fucking chicken
simplify.
if they didn't get a second place ribbon?
Hey, sometimes that's what you have to do is go back to the basics.
Somebody would have a baby in the middle of
Hey,
the show.
I'm going to tell you what, it worked great. It worked wonderful and it was, you know what, that's a great idea for show hosts and everything. When everything is all mixed up, just do first place maybe.
But this is why I don't think people understand why I take the shit so seriously. It's a fucking big deal to me to be influencing the future breeding of the breed. Like every dog, especially, again, I'm no one special. Ron Ramos puts up a dog for best in show. Jamie Sweet puts up a dog for best in show. Ty Lumley puts up a dog for best in show. People look at that because it's under a respectable judge.
I have turned down
Joe Shit the Rag Man
assignments.
puts up a dog for best in show. People might like, maybe, you know, that was the only one he won all day, and these guys gave it to somebody else, so maybe not. But motherfucker like Jamie Sweet or Ron Ramos or Ty Lumley puts up a dog for best in show. People notice that shit and they say, oh, that's a good dog. If they put that dog up, that's a good dog. That's why I take it so seriously. And I feel like it's hard for me to take it seriously as an individual if the fucking registry themselves don't take it seriously. Like that shit, I don't know. I'm not getting back into it. I'm not going back on that.
You know, and
But that's exactly why. Because people are going to be using those dogs in the future breeding of the fuck. And they're coming there looking for an evaluation from somebody that's supposed to know what they're talking about.
yeah, and I think it is time. You know, we have a lot of dogs. We have more dogs in this world right now than ever before, and so I think it's time for us to
More shows.
make some decisions. You know,
More registries now, more shows now.
Less big breeders, you know, so
Less
we're gonna
commercial
see
breeders.
we're gonna see probably a deterioration.
More
of the stuff we
legislation
love,
against breeding.
Yeah.
That shit in California, like it's getting serious in California. They're about to make it where you have to be a licensed fucking professional kennel to breed dogs. That's getting serious out there.
No, that would clean up a whole bunch of shit right there.
Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's great. Bring it. I love it. Yeah, I've been a licensed breeder.
Right. For years.
Why can't, and you know, I like showing and everything, but you know what I like more than showing? Sending you guys with a cool show dog. Hey, this one's going to do this. Take this one. And whoever's the shower, go show it. That's,
Right.
you know, breeders breed, show. I think it would be great. I think we need some interventions like that. You know, somebody asked me the other day, should we have breed wardens again? I just think we're past
What's a
that.
breed warden?
They tell you what you're keeping and what you're not, like them overseas. But,
Whoa.
yeah. I don't...
Would you let a breed warden come in and tell you what you're keeping and what you're not?
I would probably not go to.
That's not gonna fly at my house,
I mean,
promise.
we kind of don't even get along about the watering system.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna fly at my house for sure.
Yeah, that would be very, very tough. But
You know, I think we could get into though, private evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's kind of the same thing.
paying someone to come to your yard and evaluate the stock that you
But-
have. I've been offered a couple of times already. I just didn't think it was a serious thing. But the more
No,
I
it
think
is.
about this stuff, like the more that I think that's going to be needed. That kind of stuff's going to be needed.
I've done that for a lot. That's how I got the little black and white dog back there. That was what that was for. That was a really cool deal.
Well, I just think that's going to be the more that we can't trust the decisions that are being made in the ring.
Well, we have
this
so
is
much.
Not everyone. I'm not saying the sky's falling by any stretch of the fucking imagination. There is a lot of competent judging, but there's also a lot of incompetent judging, and there's no registry doing anything to educate the public or the judges. That has to change.
And you know, people need to do that a little bit.
Maybe
about-
I just think we need to do it ourselves. Maybe I need to do it myself. Maybe we should do it ourselves.
But you know, we have a lot of everything, and nothing. I mean, like, the respect needs to be put back on the judge. That's respectful. You shouldn't talk to a judge like that. But a judge should also be
Well, I think
chosen
that's
on his accomplishments and what he's already proven, not what he says he's gonna do.
Right.
What he's already done. He's proven to do this. You know, and I think there was just so much, and the pets boomed at the same time, and
the Save a Bully class. You want to talk about something that fucking pisses me off? The Save a Bully class. That's a slap in the face to every fucking pioneer of conformation dog shows. That's a slap in the fucking face. If you are any kind of historian behind conformation dog shows, that is a slap
Maybe
in
it's
the
time.
fucking face.
maybe it's time for, you know, maybe it's time for some real competitors over here. Like, how hard do you compete? I mean, like, do you want to take heads off, or are you just there for a good time? I never drive 800 miles to lose, and I don't even do that.
No.
I don't drive that far, you know, for some fruity little.
No, but I think like you're saying, like the respect has to be taken back by the judges.
Well, once
But at the same, and I feel like that's why people have an issue with me speaking out about the judging. I'm looking at this from the inside. I'm not a fucking bitter spectator that lost and I'm bitching about my dog losing. I'm talking about shit I see every single weekend as a fucking judge, not as a bitter competitor. I'm not bashing individuals on what they pick. I'm talking about as a whole, as a collective judging unit, shit needs to change and it needs to improve.
Well,
period.
I mean, it's gotten out of, you know, a lot of things have just, they've run rampant, and, you know, and now we have a lot to clean up, I think.
I don't.
Well,
I'm done cleaning up.
yeah, me too. But I mean, I think a little cleanup would be great. You know, and I think a little maybe we need some different levels of competition. You know.
Well, I feel like there is right now. I feel like there is right now. If we could get people to get over the tribalistic fucking instinct to pick a registry and stay with it. Like, that's not your tribe, motherfucker. Like, we're not gonna go to war because you're you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pick a tribe. There's levels to everything, you know?
You know, if there's one thing I wish we could get through somebody's head, just one thing, if I could just have one thing, it's not one dog. I am so sick and tired of that shit. It isn't one dog.
It's not.
It's not one dog, and I'm not saying all dogs are great. They're not. They're not at all. But
No, but there's not one.
there's not one dog that's going to work for
magical
everybody. So
dog
just get that out of your head.
That's perfect or ideal that you can say, this is the perfect Shorty Bull. Or this is the perfect American Bully. Or this is the perfect Doberman. There's
It's a collection of things, you know? It's a collective of things.
I think that's why you have to look at.
I think that's why you need to breed dogs before you do judging and all this stuff, because you've got to understand what's fixable and what's not, and how often it's a crapshoot, and what a virtue really is, and how important that is to a program, and what you can fix easily and what you need to just scrap.
Maybe not on individual program levels, but what is necessary for the breed and for the preservation of the type. You know what I'm saying? I feel like as a breeder, you can look at different things and have a better grasp at the value, what you should hold as a high value, and what you should, like cosmetic stuff like we talk about. Cosmetic faults, as someone who's really concerned about the future of the breed and preserving the breed type, those cosmetic faults really can't hold that much value. Unless it's, I don't know, unless it's like certain lacking, like you
Like a lack of pigment and the dog gets sunburned.
Yeah.
Or what?
But like an underbite that comes along with a curved jaw, if the breed doesn't call for a curved jaw. If it's just a slight underbite, that's a cosmetic thing. Like that's not, it doesn't change the type, it doesn't change the look, it doesn't affect the dog. But then you add a curved underjaw to it and it changes the type a little bit. So that's at the higher value. You know, or a locomotive fault, or an issue with the movement locomotion. Like that's got to be held higher value. You know, a gay tail that's not really that big of a deal unless it comes from a really flat hip set and a really short hip set, and that's because of the hip set, the gay tail, and really choppy movement and no drive off the rear. All those things, like that's multiple things. If it's just a gay tail, but he's still got really good drive off the rear, who gives a fuck about that gay tail in reality, you know?
I know. If you look at my confirmation assessment tool that was supposed to be put up a long time ago, everything had a value. Every single thing had
I thought that helped a lot as to what you should.
That's how every standard used to be back in the day.
Confirmation assessment tool. I forget.
Well, everything had a number with it and a value. So, you know, because you hate a lack of pigment so bad, well, that's still not as bad as, you know, no hips.
Right, but also we have to take our own pet peeves out of it.
Well, yeah, but that.
You know, I said this.
I mean, if you're going to be a judge, duh, that should be shit.
No, but you say duh.
That?
We say duh, but it's not duh because nobody else realizes the shit.
That's why I can't do it.
All right, motherfuckers, we're getting out of here. It's over. I love your fucking faces. 103 in the books. I'll see you next week.